Hi, today we're going to talk about lazy keto. What is lazy keto? Does it work? Do I need to count calories? How closely do I need to track things? Okay, the first thing is I feel that this is a question that's time has kind of passed. The reason why is you definitely need to count carbs. When I say definitely, I guess if you're really educated about the foods that you can have, you're willing to exclude whole food groups. If you do general rule of thumb things like not counting green vegetable carbs and assuming that there's enough dietary fiber in there that that's going to work out for you, those strategies can work. And some people don't count anything. But traditionally, the scientific and medical recommendation is to specifically count carbs. Now, as far as counting calories, that's a much different question. A lot of the medical literature has found that when they have groups that do low-fat diet studies and they tell one group, count your fats, and the other group, count your fats and your calories, there's a significant difference in the amount of foods that the people eat when they're not asked to count their calories. However, in low carbohydrate groups, when they compare the amount of food eaten by calorie restricted and non-calorie restricted groups, non-calorie restricted groups still had to count carbs, but not calories. They found that the differences in their intake was insignificant, which is to say that because the diet works on the control of insulin and helps appetite and hunger functions regulate properly, it ends up being sufficient that the calorie reductions that help with the weight loss come inherent to the proper appetite and hunger regulation, and the needs to count calories or restrict calories are unnecessary. So although a calorie deficit is still required to lose weight, calorie counting may be unnecessary. Now, the thing that you need to consider that's often unappreciated in groups is that most diets will work if you can adhere to them. In a laboratory setting, you could control most people's weight if you could dose and issue all of their foods. But the major function of why diets don't work is obviously that people stay on them. And anything that you add to somebody's diet, any additional restriction like a suggestion to eliminate dairy as well or to count calories, is extra work. Extra work impacts how likely somebody is to continue doing that work. So there's an argument for lazy keto in that paying attention to calories may not benefit your weight loss. Statistically, groups that counted calories lost similar amounts of weight to groups that counted only carbohydrates. So there wasn't an advantage to counting the calories. So if you want to count calories, I would say that's a fine thing to do. Now, why the discussion's time has kind of passed is because every app that I know of that counts carbs also, as a byproduct, counts calories. So I guess it's worth saying that focusing on calories is less important. However, counting the carbohydrates, especially if you're not super knowledgeable about what foods contain carbohydrates, surprising foods like nuts or pasta sauces can contain sugars and carbohydrates that can be a problem with your ketogenic weight loss. So lazy keto is either avoiding foods that you know will be problematic and dosing your foods assuming that you're getting about 20 to 50 carbs a day, or lazy keto can refer to not counting calories, only tracking carbs, which the medical and scientific literature basically supports. And so I think that both of those are fine approaches. However, if you're a person that's really kind of prone to taking cheats or making an exception, you may really want to consider avoiding doing lazy keto. And I find that tracking food, both in the scientific and medical literature, just asking somebody to track what they eat alone will cause them to eat better because they think about tracking it. So I recommend tracking your food. I recommend tracking your carbs and your calories, especially because when you're learning this diet, if you run into problems, it can help you people diagnose what you've been eating, where you may be off in your levels, and you can get help. But if you're one of those people that's real busy and you don't want this diet to be more complex than it needs to be, the only thing you really need to focus on is your carbohydrate count. I love you guys, and I wish you the best of luck in your diet or weight loss journeys. Have a good day.